Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Michigan Military Technical and Historical Society Museum vehicle restoration video. We had a nice, somewhat warm day here in February in Michigan, so I took advantage of came out here, spent a little bit of time working on our Model T, trying to get myself motivated for this year, 2024. This is where we left off with the last video on the T. We've got the frame just kind of mocking stuff up here. We've still got some metal work to do on these aprons and things like that, but too cold out here to do any real paint work or anything, so that'll come later. So we got the front axle and everything in. So I decided to jump over here to the rear axle so we can try and get that under here, and hopefully at some point this spring make this into a roller, even though I do not have the wheels done yet, but I do have a set of wheels I can put on it just to make a roller out of it if I need to. So kind of tore into the rear end. Today I was working on the drive shaft. You can see here I started getting the drive shaft housing cleaned up. We've got it all stripped down. But we're going to come over here. We're going to take a look at some of the stuff. So sadly it's a little dark over here, so I'm going to try and do the best I can. So I think I may have figured out why this Model T was parked originally. This is the rear bearing for the drive shaft and the rear bearing sleeve. And for those of you who are familiar with bearings, they're not supposed to look like this. So I have a suspicion that this is why this particular vehicle was parked at some point in its life and left to sit in a farmer's field. You can see the roller bearing has fallen apart. These little rollers are supposed to be in there, and they're loose here. There you can see there's a little prong here that holds it. This back one is gone on two of the bearings, and they have fallen out. Surprisingly, they don't look in particularly bad shape. The bearings themselves don't look bad, but the bearing sleeve, I am not sure what happened here. I have a feeling that might be that little prong that supposed to hold these rollers in may have gotten in here, broke off or sheared off. And then this is supposed to be, this is where the Woodruff key goes and supposed to keep this thing from spinning. And you can see it's just completely chewed up. So I have a feeling that drive shaft had to have made a horrendous noise. It did not want to come off of there. It was definitely stuck on there. We definitely need to get a new rear bearing and a new rear bearing sleeve. I took my extra rear axle apart, was hoping that this bearing would be in there, but somebody beat me to it. That the spare rear axle I have has already been pillaged. The rear thrust bearing, though, is actually in quite nice condition. It looks quite well. Looks quite good. Cleaned it up a little bit. We'll clean it some more, but that looks like it's savable. There's no, at least not readily visible odd wear on the pinion gear. Haven't got into the ring gear yet in the axle. Took the U-joint out. If I remember reading the manual correctly, the wear spec is, I believe, like 6 thousandths. I don't even have to measure this. That is way more than 6 thousandths. So I believe our U-joint is also toast. Pulled the front bushing out, and come over here in the light so you can see it. So there's an oil hole in that bushing where you're supposed to be able to grease it. But if you look, it looks like this bushing walked in the housing, because there's a definite mark from the oil hole, and you can kind of see the grooves in it. So I need to take a real close look at the front of this drive shaft housing to see if there's any, because this bushing is not supposed to walk, but you can see that it definitely looks like it walked. And Yeah, because you can, I mean, that is definitely, you know, where it landed, and you can see when I pressed it out, you can kind of see where it kind of dragged along that mark. So that bushing, yeah, it's got a little lip on the front of it here. So this bushing needs to be replaced. So far we have a rear bearing, front bushing, U-joint that needs to be replaced, and then those of you that work on Model Ts, there's these lovely little plugs for the U-joint pin. And this guy here didn't want to come out, so we need one of them too. Grease caps there, looks pretty decent. And then I guess while I had it out, we can take a look. This is the bushing removal tool that you need to pull that bushing out. You take this rod, obviously you take this plate off of it and the nut off of it, and you slide this rod in from the rear of the drive shaft tube, and it slides all the way forward and then comes out the front. This piece here slips into the bushing, and then these little shoulders here go against the back of the bushing. Then you put this plate and the nut up there on the front of the U-joint cup, and you get your 3/4 inch wrench or 3/4 inch impact if you're lazy, which is what I did, and you just spin that sucker out of there with the, and out she comes, and then you have bushing out. Here's the drive shaft right here. It looks fairly straight. The end is not bad. I took a measurement up here. It's supposed to be 1 inch. This has got a little bit of wear on it. It's measuring at 95 thousandths right now, or I mean 1 inch. I'm sorry, 1 inch 5 thousandths is what we're, no, 95 thousandths. That's right the first time. Yeah, it's got about 5 thousandths worth of wear, so it's a little undersized. But I think when we get the new bushing, we just have to ream it a little bit, so that the bushing is a little bit over, or so the bushing makes it at 95 thousandths as opposed to 1 inch, and we should be, or whatever the play is. I have to look in the manual what the slop is, the allowable clearance or tolerance is. But so this has got a little bit of wear. It's not horrific, and the rest of the drive shaft doesn't look bad. So yeah, so right now we're gonna go in and we're gonna get on the old interwebs, and we need to start ordering some parts so that we can rebuild this and get this axle, or get the drive shaft at least, put back together. And then when the weather warms up a little bit, we'll throw some black paint on it. And then next time I come out here, we are going to tear down the axle and start looking at it. I mean, right now I can already tell you that this brake cam is not happy. The one on this end this is how it's supposed to be. You can see this one here. That's your brake cam, but this one here is not supposed to do that. So that's a problem. So we know we need that. It doesn't look, just looking inside it earlier, kind of turning things, it does not look horrible. So I think we might get lucky on this rear axle. That is assuming that the pieces of that rear bearing didn't go in here and do some damage. So we need to, we're gonna have to pull this completely apart, clean and inspect everything, and see what we got. But the rear, it turns and it doesn't make any weird noises when you're spinning it. So I'm thinking we might get lucky, and I'm hoping that the damage from this was contained to this area. So we clearly had something weird going on there. So I guess this will be a short video. It's a little chilly out here. The sun is shining and it's warmer outside, but this building holds the cold and is definitely starting to feel it. So I guess that's where I'm going to leave off. So once again, check us out at mimths.org. And with all of this, it looks like this project, like most of my vehicle restoration projects, is probably going to go over budget. So, so if you want to help out, hop on PayPal. We're MIMTHS at MIMTHS.org. Send us a couple bucks so I can order up these parts and the museum treasurer doesn't yell at me. Well, she'll yell at me anyway, but she doesn't. But if we get some money coming in, she won't yell at me as much. So, all right. So that's the end of this. Hopefully in a couple weeks, or next time it warms up, I'll get out here and we'll tear into the rear axle. So until then, everybody have a good day.